Hey all, it's the poor intellectual black poet again. Um, so last time we did something about someone who goes crazy through his imagination through death, and he um he learns he learns that without his other senses, he's trapped in the world of imagination. Now we're gonna delve into a different horror story about someone whose imagination takes them too far. you know, where, it's called, I call this one, like I said, I do gothic horror too. I do black empowerment, gothic horror, war. I do even romance. Because I've read all this kinds of poetry, from all the books I've read, so I do them all. I call this one the horror writer. Imagination goes unbound, for fantastic things come into my head. I dream horrific things that one only knows the colors black and red. My mind is a plethora of foul things that the edge on creativity. Or is it that I love death of other worlds that contrast absurd nativity? The fairy tale that lurks in the heart of a man that really makes my skin crawl. So I write about things not of this world, from winter, spring, summer, and fall. I love the idea of death as it tickles the pleasures of being on the edge. Never will I dream of things of light that go hello in the night, I truly pledge. I write in my room where the light is faint, only enough to scribe, so I can think of blood and gore in which my stories often describe. I am writing of the devil, the Lord's nemesis that goes into forgotten lore. I am deep in thought of my craft when I hear a sound behind the door. The sound is as faint as the light, which makes me wonder if it's my pet. I ignore the sounds of the moment I sit and ponder of the stories as of yet. I hear another sound that piques my annoyance to the highest degree. The sound is louder to where I realize that my family's gone. It's just me. I stare at the wooden oak door and wonder if my family is coming home. I think fond thoughts of my family when I wrote in my microscopic chrome. A strange feeling of dread enters my mouth, but only for a second. I sigh to myself, looking at my writing instruments, and now that I must reckon. My wife says she will not be home for another 4 hours due to weather. I stop to think of times of joy with my wife for a moment together. How she saved my work and put me in a better place. Yes, I crack a grin. A cold feeling comes over me as my family in my home are the only ones I'd let in. The smile rapidly fades with anguish and thoughts of mortality. What was that sound? Why was it so loud? Is this reality? My final question permits through my skull as an ice pick. My mind is full of creative things that shuts down like a clock that goes tick-tick. The sound of the clock is amplified by my fearful awareness I'm not alone. Voices speak below whisper, yet I hear from my room sitting on my throne. Yes, I felt I was someone of great importance, computing fiction to the world that was bought. Yet I have no guards to protect me, yet I'm a peddler of death, am I not? Speaker of the insane, scribe of the neuromancer of things, those that rot. But they are words, as noises are now becoming more intense. I once believed that I wrote of the terrors of people with much suspense. I even wrote of the evil desires of people that choose to make those suffer violently. What is the intent of men downstairs? Those voices only become louder as I silently look for my weapon in my room of books and paper, my kingdom of a dead tree. My paper has no use here as it did not for ancient man, as it does not for me. The tree would be a club or spear to defend those who steal. It is true violence I experienced throughout time until the creation of steel. Shiny blades of silver cut through a man till blood poured out like a waterfall. The red water of life, that is the reality of the world which flows in us all. In a puddle that grows upon the dirty ground due to a man being savage. I realize this happens all the time in the world as a man to another man would ravage. Take his livelihood like his past that doesn't exist, only sustenance to live just that day. They never grew as a child with experience or had people that loved them in any way. I write about those things in the split second of the past, the thought but I don't experience. I realize I have not moved an inch from the seat where I nervously sit. As the voices grow louder, I stare at the oak door with little anticipation. I wonder further at the identity of my home intruder in my situation. Will my death be in the hands of some blacks or some minority? Will it be a kid, a teenager, a man, or someone of more sincerity? I've given up already due to the frail body dependence on what I do. I realize the stairs creak and I start thinking about the existence of what's true. My fingers only know typing, and that is what the Lord has given me. I say, Lord, due to my involuntary trembling, thinking what I see. My oak door, as the odor of death tickles my nerdy-like nostrils. It is simply the memory of dead bird. I start to ponder about the apostles. Why do I have that memory? Will I smell like that? Everything's eventual. I wish to smell like that later in life with death that is consensual. Reality for people isn't demons, vampires, killers, or simply being killed by the people who do not value morality over themselves, where I have thrilled. People with imaginations take them into my world that I have written. That's how I got my wife I'll never see again, which I was smitten. I ponder God's existence again, wondering what will happen, as I write about death through the mind that's constantly sapping. Books of all kinds cannot defend me in this reality. I tremble violently knowing they want my salary. This house is made of paper that bought these people in there. But I realize for the first time I'm ridden with fear. Genuine fear that comes from the soul when questioned over one's life. Creaking is as loud as things sound as they are broken in strife. The strife is really the idea of surviving. I'm scared, but do nothing. I do nothing as the knob turns and realize I do not know a thing. I don't understand how to pray, how to fight, only how to write. About things I can't apprehend, but I write about the dark, not the light. I could use some light in my life, as I hope, which is how I fight. The light is a hope that's triggered by the fears that I have been guided by. I want to ask someone a question, how and why. This may happen every minute, but why me? It's not right. The door opens, the still house stands in the shadows behind the light. He says, why not you, as he raises something like maybe a gun. The background is brighter than the sun. Did he read my mind, or is it a coincidence? Is it what I have written about supernatural common sense? Terrors invoke fears of past memory, hundreds of stories through fallacy. Is my writing a doorway for fantasy and reality? Am I just hallucinating a fair being a casualty? In the reality of life has given me one last scare. No more stories, no more wife, I have nothing which I care. My last thought, as if he reads one of my books, whether he's a man, a demon, my life he had just took. The last thing I see is a blight flash from the creature's hand. Okay, so I dwelled in Gothic horror too. And what is the basis of someone whose imaginary runs pretty wild, who kind of realizes that the reality, the real horrors of life never occurred to him, and the reality that his imagination interprets it in different ways and can't react properly. So, yeah, I can do horror too. So, I have a couple of them like that. Maybe I'll do another one the next time. But, if you're a fan, buy my book. Kind of forgot what the book's name is. It's The Creation of the Mind or something by Ralston Roden. Alright, because I've been doing this so long. But I mean, if you like this stuff, please like and, buy the book or whatever. This is The Black Intellectual Poet, and I'm out.